I hope I didn't hurt any feelings with this title. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings with this title, but we gotta talk about it. In this video, I want to talk about some not so great things about America and what we can do to actually make a change, because obviously I don't like just talking to you guys and complaining without providing some solutions, okay? And of course, this is not to absolutely trash America. I mean, if you look past the Federal Reserve manipulation, complete disregard for the Constitution, the increasing wealth gap, and the entire state of Florida, it's actually a good country to be in. But let's just talk facts, okay? Let's get into some things that make America great and things that are, in need of some improvement. So keep it locked for all that and more. It's Crystal with the Cash Compass. All right, welcome back. I am here to teach you all the things that you should have learned in school about money, but for whatever reason, they forgot to mention it. Please be sure to subscribe, and if you read about your money, make sure you hit that bell. We talk about everything from personal finance to invest into the economy. Let's get into it. And I do want to hear from you guys, so let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with anything that I'm saying, or if you have any other suggestions. And this is not only for America and UK, I see you guys too, Canada, I know y'all here. So definitely let me know what you think could be better in your country that isn't being done or being neglected. And of course, before I get into the not so good things, let me big up America and talk about why it's great. I'm the kind of person that likes giving the good news before the bad news. What are you? But yeah, so what has contributed to our success? Well, we have an enormous country, right? Some countries are like this little, but America is a great big country full of really great resources. We're also surrounded by the two largest oceans in the world, and that is not only good for travel and getting goods into the country, but it's also good to protect us from getting, attacked by these other countries. Now, no offense, but Canada and Mexico is not much of a threat to us, okay? Canadians, if you ever ran into a Canadian, they're super nice. I've been there. They'd be like, listen, take our land if you want to. So because of that, we don't have to worry about a whole bunch of wars being on our territory, or we don't have to worry about a lot of, border issues. Of course, Trump has made that a big issue. That's a whole different topic. Outside of that, we have a large working class group, right? Just kind of similar to China. I think China has the largest, and India too. But we have one of the largest populations of people who can actually crack the whip and get to work. For the most part, we are a very stable country, and we have very educated people who are innovative. So we have a lot of talent in this country, and that has definitely led to our success. So, America happened to pick the right plot of land to kind of put their feet on, and that's a good thing. But what has turned for the worse, okay? Let's start with wages, because I think this affects every single body, and wages have been flat. I talk about this enough times, but I want to talk about it some more. The home prices have climbed up dramatically. Tuition has climbed up dramatically. And for some reason, in the past 2 years, our earnings have only gone up $4,000, which is really insulting, honestly. I mean, what's like I've talked about all the time, the wealth gap is only increasing because we don't really have enough people actually aware of these things and actually trying to talk and stand up for what is right? Of course, I love the U.S. debt clock, so I'm going to take you on there for some facts. We have more than double the people on food stamps than we do millionaires, okay? Savings per family is actually less than half the amount of the debt per family. The middle class is basically evaporating, and all the rich are leaving the country, right? They're taking their wealth with them too. Excuse me, I'm going to go to Sweden. Excuse me, I'm taking my talents to the Cayman Islands because I can actually keep my money there. And obviously there's a couple of countries that people can do this that are tax haven countries. So people have the right people in place to get informed and take their money, take their coins, and go put it somewhere else that's not going to get snatched up by the government. So that only really leaves the government with the middle class to tax, okay? I know they try to tell you we're going to tax the rich, we're going to get money from the rich, but we can see year after year after year, we are the majority of the providers for the income taxes, okay? Like I said before, corporations only provide 15% of the income tax revenue. And while we are extremely well educated, it's not enough to me. Like I said, we don't do enough teaching, of course, with money in school, right? A lot of people come out of school and they're completely clueless, and they just kind of sign away their life to get thousands of dollars of debt that they don't even know if they can pay back, right? But outside of the money thing, because of course I focus on that a lot, what about the other skills, okay? Communications. Communication should not only be afforded to those who can actually afford a therapist. We all need to talk, right? Y'all taught me this English language, so teach me how to communicate effectively. Why is that not something that's absolutely required? And we have like multiple levels of how to handle your anger, how to talk on YouTube comments with some respect and not get blocked. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're missing from our curriculum. But sales, marketing, these are things that you need to kind of learn on a personal basis. No matter who you are going to have to sell something in life, whether you have have your own business and you're trying to sell your services or your products, or if you're a W-2 worker, why they should hire you and give you a raise in the same meeting, okay? Originally, the government was meant to serve the people, okay? It seems like now we serve them. And if they continue to keep on providing a lot of Americans some financial support, we are going to depend on them more, which means they have more control. Those who actually take care of you have the ability to not take care of you and leave you in a really effed up position, okay? I'm sure you know that. That's why we don't like depending on people, because they can take away from you at any point. And because they've kind of positioned themselves as, you know, these people in charge, they don't give us enough transparency that if we had, we could probably do so much more with. And I don't want to ruffle any feathers. Actually, maybe I do. Get in the comments if you don't like it. I really think that we have heard enough of the coronavirus, right? It's here. It's been here for 6 months. But if you turn on the news channels, that's really all they're talking about. Give us a 30-minute segment, you know, and then let's talk about some other matters, okay? The elections are coming up. People will talk and argue about Democrats and Republicans all day, but let's talk about some truth, right? Why don't we ask our presidents to actually give us some truth instead of giving us promises? I don't want to hear what you can do. I want to hear what's realistic, what's going to keep us in budget. I don't even know if I can trust you guys, because you are in $26 trillion of debt, okay? I'm not in that much debt, so how am I trusting you with money? If they really cared, we would be talking about things that are so much more important. Not that the coronavirus isn't. Of course, my heart is people who have suffered from it, but I do think that we can move on from there. It's okay if we don't talk about it all day anymore. It's been 6 months. We can talk about things that are a little bit important too, right? Because we don't have transparency and we don't demand it, we just accept a lot of things that if we really knew about it on a grand scale, not just me talking to you about it, but like maybe thousands of people being informed at the same time, I think that would cause a real revolution. If you guys hear noise, I am so sorry. I don't know why they chose today to cut the grass. And I want to put this into perspective, just kind of really set this point. Let's say you went out to eat, right? And there was a big piece of hair in your food and you're bald, so you knew it wasn't you, right? You're going to go ahead and raise hell. You're going to want your money back. You want to speak to the manager, the owner, the shareholders. God, everybody's going to have to get that work. And why is that? It's because you don't want to spend your money on something that you're not satisfied with, right? But that's what happens with the government. We spend our money, or we get our money taken from us, and we don't necessarily know what it's going to, what it's for, why it's happening, and the success of it, right? If you're taking all my money, like 25% of my income, where is it going? I should get a statement every month. And I think a main driver of that is because it doesn't really directly affect us, at least not in our face, right? Like when you have a piece of hair in your food, I'm directly traumatized. But when you see or don't really see that there's crazy things going on with your money in the government, you're not so pressed because you probably feel helpless, right? Because you're only one person. And you also feel like, well, that's what they're here for. They're supposed to be allocating our funds. But it might not be allocated in the right way. And because it's an election year, people are going to get super annoying telling you to vote. And I understand that, yes, you have a right to do it. You also have the right not to do it, by the way. But yes, we have the right to vote, sure. Why don't we also harass people about learning about the Constitution and demanding that we actually stick by that Constitution? Because if you didn't know, income taxes were illegal. You're not supposed to tax people on their income, okay? So if people really understood that, like now, of course, they found a way to dance around that, but that's not what the Constitution originally had for us. So why don't we demand people get educated about those things? Why don't we demand people actually hold these politicians accountable and ask tough questions to these politicians? Now, I know the whole question part is probably hard because mainstream media is controlled by only like a handful of people, and they probably are all besties. So they directly control what they want to share and what they don't want to share. And those press conferences that they have are most likely vetted, right? They're making sure there's no crazy questions, and they might throw like one little hardball, but they dance around those questions. So why don't we just keep on pushing, asking more questions? Like, no, how are you going to fund it? Seriously, like, can you answer me? We don't really demand that kind of stuff, but we want to vote. Why are we voting when we don't even know what we're voting for, really, right? Because we might get them into office, but then what happens after that? You tell me. The truth is, America in and of itself is not much different from other countries. Of course, relative to other countries, yes, of course, we have a very abundant life. But the average American is not doing so hot. The average American makes $34,000, which to this standard of living is not that good. And although they make that little bit of money, we have to maintain this American dream lifestyle, which is vacationing, brunch, bottomless mimosas, right? So we have an image to uphold that we have to do off of $34,000 before tax. It's not really possible. You can't really have an abundant life if you are saddled in student debt and all these other types of debt that don't really make you any money, and you don't have wages that are really competitive. And of course, we don't have to worry about certain things like having social scores or having cameras at every single step that you make. So we do have some social freedoms that are nice, but we also have things that are taken away from us, but they're kind of structured in a way that makes it look like we're so free, but we really aren't, you know? I mean, look what happens when you protest, right? You're supposed to have your right to protest. That's your First Amendment right. But what happens when you're peacefully protesting? You get sprayed with tear gas and you get pelted with rubber bullets, right? And they might not show that on TV. They might just show the violence, which completely takes over everything, which I'm not saying. I don't condone violence at all, okay? So not good, but you are supposed to be allowed to have assembly, right? You're supposed to be able to assemble together, and that should be okay as long as it's non-violent. But that doesn't seem like we've been getting that lately. It seems like you have the army come after you if you don't acquiesce. And I don't really want that from America. So what do you guys think would be better for this country? I want to hear your thoughts. Obviously, it's an election year, so it's important to be active and actually engage in these conversations. So tell me what you think. But that will do it. If you like this video, then please like this video and share it with your friends. And if you have anything else going on, you know what to do. Go ahead and binge watch me. And until next time, keep your money up.